You've probably seen the example where you try and get sand and the rocks with the golf balls. I use golf balls because I enjoy golfing, so I have. But we try and get everything into the same jar. Now, everybody knows, because we've all seen it, that if you want to get everything in the same jar, you've got to put the big objects that hold air in first, and then pour the sand in, right? Okay? So I'm going to invite this gentleman in the back. You don't know that I'm inviting you, but I'm inviting you right now. To come up here and help you with this. Yeah. Perfect. Tell everybody your name. Introduce yourself, where you're from.
I'm Matthew. I live in Harriman.
What up, Matt?
Good to be here.
Thank you. So, Matthew, what I need you to do is I need you to get as much of that sand, or all of the sand, into this jar. Okay, so I'm going to hold the mic, and we're going to be rooting you on. We're going to help you try and get all that sand in the jar.
You got this,
Give it all. Shake it a lot. You're doing great, though, honestly.
I need some cheering.
Minutes to win it. Shake it all in there. You're doing awesome. The sand is a little wet, but you can get it in there. We all believe in you. We're all cheering on. Keep shaking, shaking, shaking. Anybody have any ideas? It's already wet, so it's
Shake it off, Matt. Shake it off.
Keep going, keep going. Come on, let's give him a few cheers. Come on. I think he can do it. Back it in there. Okay, let's see how much we can get in. Maybe compact it with your hand. I don't know. Keep going, keep going. Squish that dirt, squish that dirt. Yeah.
Eat it.
Okay. You got it? No, get it in the jar. No, not yet, but I want it to flatten out. Like if I were to put a lid on it, can I get a lid on it? So just curious, man. Have you ever been at a point in your life where that was your financial situation? Trying to get all of your needs and wants into the same little jar? Yeah? Has it sometimes gotten a little messy?
Yeah, it's gotten messy before.
It's gotten messy a little bit. Okay?
A lot messier than that.
Okay. Do you think that it just naturally happens that when somebody spends their last cent, their last dollar in their bank account, they've got all of their needs and wants just nicely sorted in there, and they don't need or want anything else until next month when they get paid again? Is that how life works?
No.
You think that's how their finances work? Okay? So, thank you for your participation. So this is like life, right? This is actually life. And you guys are relating with this. You probably don't want to admit it in front of everybody else. You guys know exactly what it's like. You guys know, just like he said, it's a little actually messy, right? It happens this way the first time. The first month, you're like, get it all in there. It's just a little messy. And then the next month comes around and there's an emergency. And you're like, I think if we tower it up a little bit, we can get it more, at least on the pile. We're just like going to do a little bit more. And okay, we'll pay that off next month. Pay that off next month. And then the next month comes around and something else comes up. You guys want to go to Disneyland. You guys want to eat out an extra day, whatever. And you're just like, let's just get a little bit more. I don't know, maybe the mess isn't that bad. It can't be that bad, right? Everybody else has a mess, so I'll have a mess too. And so we walk around our lives with this mess of our finances, and we're sitting there thinking, it's not that bad. We'll get out of it. Talked to one person, one of my clients, and I was just asking them, because they were super excited. I got out of debt. It took us 3 years to get out of debt. And I was like, awesome. So it was like $40,000, $50,000. It was $10,000, man. It took us 3 years to get out of $10,000 of debt. Okay. I can relate to that. I understand it. But why does that happen? Why do you think that happens? Does it happen because our wants go away? We go to the beans and rice diet? Okay, something like that. So many people, they're stressing out about just trying to get this jar or all of the sand, all of their wants into a little mason jar. They never consider that they could just get a bigger bucket, increase your income. Like what if that was the answer? Just actually, what are we doing, right? How do we increase our income? Add more value, right? The problem is these people, they're stuck in fear and scarcity and they don't want to add more value. They want to get more money. And they're focused on the wrong thing. They're focused on themselves rather than the world, right? Travis just talked about this. They're focused on themselves and their family rather than adding value. So you guys have a choice to make, really. What are you guys going to choose to do in your life? Are you going to keep hoarding? Are you going to keep focusing on yourself? Or are you going to start looking inward and say, what about me should be shared with the world? How many of us have worked for a corporation? Okay? And in that corporation, do they pay you what you're worth, or do they pay you just enough not to quit? So my question is, why are they paying? What is the identity? What's the value that you're adding that they are just paying you not to quit for? Because if they're paying you just enough not to quit, then you can take that same value and go make more money with it if you choose to market it yourself and accept some of that risk. Okay, so I grew up, right, I showed you the picture of my house. I grew up in a family where we were Dave Ramsey all the way, right? We lived the life of beans and rice. It's actually not super unhealthy, by the way. They aren't bad for you. I was never malnourished that I'm aware of. I think I ate great, probably better than most people eat today. But we were so scared of debt, right? I would go to battle for him, and I thought, all I want to do is get out of debt. Who's ever thought that? All I want to do is get out of debt. Now here's the thing. A lot of people actually accomplish their goal. That he is a fantastic leader if that's your objective. If your objective is to get out of debt, dude, he's the man. If that's your objective. The problem is that people get out of debt, they get so stuck in fear and scarcity that they don't do anything else. They just got out of debt. Now, is that really what you wanted? Did you want to get out of debt and live in a house like mine because you're not in debt? Or do you really want to become financially independent? Right? So I had to accept that I had climbed, fought for, led people to the wrong mountain. And that if I were to change, I had to go down that mountain and start climbing a different mountain, a financial independence mountain. The strategies, the impact, the things that you're focusing on, where your mind goes, your habits, your mindsets, your behaviors, they're all different if you're building this. Some of them are like similar, but it's the same thing. It's like there's a dark side to a principle, there's a dark side to the king, the queen, the whatever, and there's a light side to this thing. And if we're going to choose to live in fear and scarcity and not understand that we have more value, then we're going to live here. And if you're okay with that, fantastic. If you'd like something more, that's what I help people with. I help people build financial independence and build a legacy that's going to last. Okay? So, Matthew, I want you to come up here again, if you're willing. Okay? But here's what I found. When we're looking to add value, we have to actually take action and add value. Okay? And so I'm going to offer you two things right now.
Okay.
Okay? You get to keep both if you want. You don't have to. One is that because I want to expand my value and add to other people, I'm going to meet with you. I'm going to offer you the opportunity to meet with me. Just like Travis said, it's not free. If you miss the appointment, it's not happening. Okay? But to meet with me without any cost. Okay? I'm not going to charge you to meet.
I'll take it.
Okay? The other thing I'm going to offer you is another $10. You don't have to take that if you don't want to. Okay? You're welcome. Give that a hand. Give that a hand. So here's the thing. I figured this stuff about before I got married. And getting married is interesting because now you're like trying to mesh two mindsets. And part of my coaching, I was working with this family just a few weeks ago, and I went in and sat down, and I really like to talk about their financial independence, but what I found is they were so, not high on this mountain, but buried in this mountain, emotionally, mentally, that I couldn't even address the financial independence conversation. Because they were so emotionally in fear and scarcity. So rather than having a financial conversation with them, I didn't. I sat there, I listened to what they were saying, and then I asked to share one story with them. Now, the story, this happened on Charlie and I's third date. Okay, so you have to keep in mind, Travis is exactly right. And you can ask any of my siblings. My filter's very minimal if it's there at all. I'm very direct, and I prefer directness.
Right there, really good.
Right? If somebody has a problem with me, please talk to me. If you don't have a problem with me, still talk to me, because that means we're good. But here's the thing. I'm going to be direct with you whether you like it or not. And some people get offended by that, and that's okay. But when I was dating for marriage, I was dating for marriage. I went on 7 or 8 dates a week, invested over $10,000 to a lot of different women. So some husbands are really happy, probably. But here's the thing. I met Charlie. First date, we go to this concert, and first thing I say to her, and she may disagree with this a little bit, but this is what I remember, my experience. First thing I said to her is, "You really suck at texting." Okay? And she's like, "Well, I'm sorry, my phone's not attached to my hand all the time." I was like, "I get that, but it's really difficult to get to know you if you don't interact." How many of you guys experience that, where you're trying to get to know you, you're trying to communicate, and the person just isn't reciprocating? How frustrating is that? Right? We all know where I was, and we all know where she was. We've all been like, "Stop trying to communicate with me. I don't enjoy this." Okay? So I didn't know what was happening, so I just called it out. I was like, "Look, I'm trying to communicate with you. Are you down with that?" She said, well, our date went on pretty well, first one. At the end of that date, we sat for hours, and I was like, "Hey, what are all the things that frustrate you about dating? Right? We're just gonna unpack this bucket right here, right now, first date. Why waste time?" Okay? We spent 4 hours at the City Creek Mall, sitting, walking around, discussing all of her frustrations about dating. I wanted to know, what type of cat am I hunting down? Okay? So we get to the third date. Have you guys been mountain biking before? Right? A good enough practice. Mountain biking is difficult, even if you're in shape. It's difficult. If you haven't been in 2 years like my wife, it was hard. It was hard for her. Right? I've been going every week, so I was okay at it. We're going up Draper Canyon, right up behind Draper Temple. We're into this ride about 20 minutes. So we're just chugging along, riding up here. We're both sweating. I mean, it's a warm day. And we're just going. And she's getting tired. Okay? I want you to keep in perspective both people's opinions. Now you know me and my directness. You don't know my wife yet. But Charlie calls back. Right? I'm behind, she's in front. Just imagine yourself, you're a bird in a tree watching this interchange. Okay? She calls back, she says, "Hey, you can go ahead. I'll meet you at the top of the mountain. I'm just getting tired." Now, I'm super direct. And there's something that is true, right? If I can take a principle and I can apply it across my life, I'll live by it. If I can't, I discard it, okay? What's Travis say? How does he apply that? Does anybody remember the phrase, "The way you do one thing is how you do everything"? Right? Dude, I do that. And so I heard her say, "Oh, well, you can just go up to the top of the mountain. I'm getting tired." Dude, I stopped my bike and I was like, "What did you just say?" Are you really going to live your life off a principle that when I'm struggling, you're just going to go ahead without me in our relationship? Is that what you expect me to do? As a husband, as a father, as a provider, I'm just going to go ahead when you're struggling? Hell no, right? That's not happening. And so if that's the way you're going to live your life, we can turn our bikes around and we'll end the day right now. And she's obviously stunned. She's like, that's not what I meant. I'm just tired. I was like, that's cool. We can rest, right? But if that's the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and if that's how you're living your life, if you're living your life based on that principle, I don't want to be part of it. You're going to find somebody great for you, just not me. Okay? And you might be thinking, what does she owe you? Right? Why are you saying that? And you're probably right. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But here's the thing. By this point in my life, I knew exactly who I was. I knew my identity. I could proceed with absolute confidence. So the thing you don't know about my wife, or don't yet, is that my wife is one of the most loyal, loving, committed people that I've ever met in my life. She's made me a more loyal, committed person. We talked about this a little bit earlier, right? Sorry, I forget your name. Joy, right? It's about the leaning in. My wife was scared to lean in. She'd been burned a few times. How many people have been burned in a relationship? Good, we all have. Okay, so she's been burned a few times. She's scared to lean in. She's scared to actually let her identity shine because of what she might experience. So what did I do? I went all in. I said, look, I'm going to be committed 110% of the way here. And that's how I'm going to show up. How are you going to show up? What that did is it allowed her to come in fully to our relationship. And I'm not up here to brag, okay? That's not my intention. But to this date, I've been married about 3.5 years. So, but to this date, I can honestly say that from my end of the thing, and she may disagree, and that's her experience, we've never raised our voices. I've never raised my voice at her. We clarify here. Okay? And we've never really gotten an argument. If you want to know how I respond when she yells at me, you can ask her. But I think it's important to know that when you identify who you are and you know exactly what you're offering, relationships go a lot better. What about your relationship with money? How much better could that be if you knew exactly who you were, exactly what you're looking for, and exactly what you're offering? It'd be a lot better. It'd be a lot easier to move forward in confidence in whatever you're doing, and then go create the legacy of your dreams. Which takes us to another story. Now, Dave, he really likes sailing. Imagine that. So he goes out sailing he goes down to the dock, he's signed up to learn how to do small boat sailing. So he's out sailing with Captain Joe and Captain Steve. Now, Captain Joe, super bubbly, friendly guy, right? We all know the guy who's just like out there, really engaging, loving. And he's teaching Dave all about all the instruments, how to steer the boat and everything. Now Captain Steve's over there, he's just sitting down in a corner. Right? And Dave's just like, this is like, these noises are not normal. Like, is this what sailing's like all the time? But he's not going to say anything. Finally, they're going in, and Dave's just like, this, like, it's just too much for him. So he's like, Captain Joe, what is this deal? And he says, he's just sitting on a nail, and he's too lazy to move. Okay? Let's be honest. You guys are all sitting on nails and you're too lazy to move. That's kind of why you're here, which is fantastic. The question is, what happens after you leave? Okay? Do you take action to get off the nail, or do you just sit there? Right? Maybe it sounds good, feels good, whatever, it helps you, right? But the point is, okay, but here's the thing. It's important. So what I want you to do is reach under the butt of your neighbor's chair, and see what you find underneath it. And go to the next slide. The back of the chair. Let's just be clear. It's the back of the chair. Be careful, because if you rip them, you can still take them in the bank will take them, but the stores won't. Oh. No, the bank will take it, but the stores generally won't. And if you don't want to deal with it, I've got a stack of them back in. Just come change it in. Okay? But here's the deal. Sometimes you actually have to get up. So stand up once you found the dollar. Hold it up in the air. Hold your dollar up in the air. Ground like a chair. Just like there's still people who don't have money.
Thanks, Sam.
It is kind of hard if you're still sitting on your chair, I guess. They were not that hard to put in there, but okay. So what I want you to do with this, and this is very important for the remainder of the meeting, but also for the remainder of the day. I want you to either put this dollar, okay, you've got up off the nail, right? Is there anybody who's not up off the nail yet? I don't see anybody. Perfect. So you guys are up off the nail. You guys take an action. But I want you to just stick it in your front pocket if you have one. If you don't have it, see, she's already on board. If you don't have a front, she's on board. I was literally going to say this. If you don't have a front pocket, stick it in your bra, okay? Every guy has a front pocket. Not every woman does, okay? You guys are going to be reminded of this in the future. Now, there is a few ways you can connect with me. I mentioned Feel Your Legacy. That's my podcast. If you scan this, then you can get there, or if you just search it on any platform for podcasts, you'll get that. And then Instagram, there's my Instagram handle, Facebook, my website. My website's kind of important because there's two things you can get there. We talked about a lot of this today, but there's the 9 pillars to my ebook. This is specifically talking about the motivation of why it's important to build a meaningful legacy. Okay? We talked about it, what it allows other people to do when you are willing to shine. Lastly is the webinar, the You Are Worthy webinar. And there I go into even more depth about value and how you can make this interchange, the non-monetary value of your identity, and turn it into a financial value. Okay? And so make that change for yourself. It doesn't affect me at all whether you guys become financially independent, other than I'm sad for you, right? But I don't choose to allow that to affect me because it doesn't serve me. But I would love to help you overcome that hurdle and get into the right mindset and the right identity of how you can really express and show who you are. Fair enough?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.